Alright guys, welcome back to another touchline video presented by The Outliers. If you're new around here, hit the like button, comment down below and subscribe. Bulldogs were victorious. They got their revenge against the Manly Sea Eagles last night. 42 points to 4. That is what you call revenge. The way they got us out last year in the elimination final, the way it happened, it was just a traumatic thing that just keeps on replaying in your mind. But we got our revenge. We can leave what happened last year in the past knowing that we got our revenge this year. And today we're going to be doing something we haven't done on this channel. We're going to be giving our player ratings for the Bulldogs players that were playing last night. There were some absolutely standouts. And we're going to start off with Connor Tracy. Connor Tracy probably had one of his best games in the Bulldogs jersey. His support play, he almost scored a try, he made a beautiful line break. It was, I think, Lehigh Hopewadi who kept him out of play. He was phenomenal. His game, his defense, the only thing I'd criticize him for, I think at times he was passing it too much. You know, when he'd catch the ball from a kick from Cherry Evans, he'd run it but pass it when in reality he maybe didn't need to pass it. Some of his passes were pretty off, they weren't clicking, but apart from that, yes, he had those few dodgy passes, but he was fantastic. And that means for me, I'm going to give Connor Tracy a 9 out of 10. Such a brilliant performance, an underrated player, and he's someone we got to keep, someone we got to lock in, because he's like a Dylan Edwards. Yes, he may not be fantastic and has that X factor, but he's a consistent player, and you want players in your team that are going to always give you 7 out of 10. So Connor Tracy gets a 9 out of 10. Jacob Kiraz, the Lebanese legend, he was phenomenal. We've been saying it for years. Ever since he came into the scene, Jacob Kiraz is going to be the best winger in the comp. And I'm telling you now, this year, he's the best winger. He's had some injuries, but he's on form. 7 offloads he had last night. 7, that is amazing. He scored 2 tries. You know, the ability to make meters. No one can really get a grip on him. He is fantastic. He's a player that, again, we got to lock in. A lot of these players, we got to lock in. You know, get them on a long-term contract, because these players are what going to build our culture, build our dynasty at the Dogs. And Jacob Kiraz, I personally believe he's going to be a Bulldogs for life. So Jacob Kiraz, I'm going to also give him a 9 out of 10. I think Connor Tracy and Jacob Kiraz were our best players last night. And I think it's fair if we both give him the 9 out of 10. I don't think anyone will get higher than them. But yeah, they were my standouts. Now, Bronson Cherry. Now, he got kicked in the face by kick-out accidentally 2 times, actually. It looks like he got a broken nose, but that did not stop him. 2 tries for Bronson Cherry. He's had a bit of injuries. He hasn't been scoring a lot these past 6 games, but he got a performance that he needed. 2 tries in the bag. And, you know, when you score 2 tries as a center, you got to be pleased with your performance. So I'm going to give Bronson Cherry a good 8 out of 10. I think those 2 tries solidified those ratings. If he didn't score, maybe it would have been a bit down, but his presence last night was amazing. So Bronson Cherry, we're going to give him an 8 out of 10. Now, Stephen Crichton, the captain. When Stephen Crichton steps up, the whole team steps up. Last week against the Dragons, you know, you could say he won us the game with that line break, which the Bulldogs rarely do, if you've noticed throughout this season. Against the Raiders, he stepped up. And against, I feel last night, he did step up. And again, personally for me, I don't think he was one of our best players. But as a captain, he did his job. And, you know, the whole team for me was fantastic. So, Stephen Crichton, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. I don't think he was better than Cherry or Kiraz and Tracy, but he did his job. So, I'm going to give Stephen Crichton... Wait, sorry, actually, he got 2 assists. And the passes he did, actually, were fantastic. So, you know what? I'm going to bump it up as well to an 8 out of 10 for Stephen Crichton. Now, and Nari Tuala. Now... when I heard the lineup, it should have been Jethro. It should have been Jethro. He's been improving. He scored 2 tries in his first 2 games. I think it would have been good to build him on that, get him that experience. Tuala did score a try, but I just feel it was a bit too slow. I don't know if that's the reason. I don't know if that's why, because he's just came in, you know, he's had that long-term injury. We've got to give him time, but I would have loved to see Jethro in. But Tuala did a job. I think he's just got to be quicker, and maybe we'll see that long-term when he starts to get more involved in the game. I'm going to give Tuala a 7 out of 10. Now we're going to go Matt Burton. Matt Burton. when he steps up, just like Crito, you need these key players to step up. But when they step up, the whole team turns around. Matt Burton, did you see those 3 steps he did and made that line break? Unbelievable. We need Matt Burton. We need this Burton week in, week out. He was absolutely phenomenal. A beautiful performance. Like, there's nothing I can complain about. His kicking game was good. You know, got us out of some trouble in the first half when Manly were putting the pressure early on. You know, his running game, you know, it would have been great to see him score a try. You know, he looked threatening. And I think he almost got an assist for Bailey Haywood when Haywood lost the ball like in the last minute of the game. But Burton, no complaints. He deserves an 8.5 out of 10. Maybe a 9, but I just think Tracy and Kiros was just a tad bit better. Lachlan Galvin. Now again, we've had our say about Lachlan Galvin, but boy, did he step up. Fantastic performance for Lachlan Galvin. He's only 19, and again, we don't want to put that pressure on him. We just got to keep on allowing him to develop, allow him to get better. And you know, the way he holds the ball, the way he runs right to the line, and as soon as he's about to get tackled, he passes it. There was one, I think, when Kira scored his first try. Look at that replay. The way he passed that ball was fantastic. So great performance from Lachlan Galvin. He's only going to get better. I'm going to give Lachlan Galvin a 7.5 out of 10. I think if you got a try assist, maybe a try, would have bumped it up. But I'll give him a 7.5. 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide in the comments. Max King now. Again, solid performance. You know what you're going to get with Max King. Tough runner, makes meters, hard worker. Again, I think it wasn't a standout from Max King. I think we always see this Max King consistently playing like that. I'm going to give Max King a 7.5 out of 10. Reid Marnie, he got off early, but I think when he was playing, fantastic. I thought ever since Galvin's came in, to be honest, he's actually stepped up his game. And I think that's what happened usually when you get new people coming in. You know, you feel your positions under threat and you just want to step up your game. Reid Marnie, fantastic. A lot of tackles. You know, didn't make a lot of dummy half runs. I think it would have been more better if he made some threatening runs, you know. But apart from that, fantastic performance again from all the boys. Reid Marnie, I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Samuel Hughes, who would have thought 2 tries for Samuel Hughes? Fantastic, he's had some injuries this season. He's back in the starting lineup and good on him. 2 tries, made some big runs, and when a prop scores 2 tries, you can't complain. So I'm going to give Samuel Hughes an 8 out of 10. Viliami Kikau. Now, again, him and Olukwatu have been having this big rivalry. You know, in the finals last year, you know, that they had their beef. I think it was the game before the finals we played Manly. Olukwatu destroyed him. So Kikau's been getting the upper hand recently. Kikau, his kick chasing, you know, his offloads, his runs, he's a damaging forward, and thank God we've bought him. Thank God he's in our squad. He reminds me of a 2012 Frank Pritchard. He is such a good player, such an important player to our team, and you know, I'm going to give Viliami Kikau an 8 out of 10. Jacob Preston, man, so many tackles, a hard worker. Didn't get any tries, which, you know, we always see him scoring tries this year. A fantastic player, future captain for the Dogs, I feel. Just his presence, you know, I feel he's been really, you know, supporting Galvin, and, you know, he's trying to boost up Galvin. I've been watching him. Every time they score, he's running to Galvin. So it's good to see that leadership role playing in him, you know, helping the young player in Galvin, which is, he's only 19. But yeah, Jacob Preston, he always puts in 100%. One of our best players, a future captain, as I said. I'm going to give Jacob Preston another 8 out of 10. Now, Jermaine Salmon, as again, we've had our say about Salmon. I think I'm starting to see much more from Jermaine Salmon. I can see he's having that impact. Yes, he may have some flaws in his game, but I think that can improve. And I'm very happy with how Salmon's been playing this year. Especially against the Raiders, he had that injury which stopped him from continuing that series. But I think, to be honest, Salmon has been, you know, pretty good for the Dogs this year. And, you know, last night, he probably wasn't the standard, but he did his job. So I'll give Salmon a 7 out of 10. Now onto the bench, Kurt Mann. On our recent pod, I was like, Kurt Mann and Bailey Haywood haven't been stepping up. Finally, I've started to see again Kurt Mann with a performance he really needed. He stepped up, you know, his impact on the bench. Fantastic performance from Kurt Mann. I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10. Harry Hayes, he was phenomenal. How many runs he was making, you know, the impact he came from the bench. Harry Hayes had, again, one of his best performances in the Bulldogs colours. Perfect. Like, again, as I said, all these players were so good, and this is what we need heading into the finals. These teams gelling, these teams playing some good football from the number 1 to the number 17. We got to all play as a team, and Harry Hayes was perfect. I'm going to give Harry Hayes an 8 out of 10. Now, finally, our last two, Josh Curran made some big runs. Good player. We know who Josh Curran is. He's a great player. I know at the Warriors, before we signed him, I always used to love him. And he's brought that influence at the Dogs. He's brought that impact at the Dogs. And yeah, Josh Curran, I give him a 7.5 out of 10. Bailey Haywood, I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Perfect performance from Bailey Haywood. You know, he had that quick stint in the late in the first half because Bronson Cherry had to get off. But once he replaced Marnie, you can see now he's starting to get used to this number 9 role. With Reid Marnie leaving, they're building him up slowly. And I can't wait to see him long-term next year, starting in that dummy half, because again, he's one for the future. So Bailey Haywood gets an 8 out of 10. Cameron Serraldo, good team selection, as we know, got the team playing, and you know, I'll give Cameron Serraldo an 8.5 out of 10. So that's a wrap up to this player ratings. If you like these videos, maybe for the next upcoming games, we'll make this a ritual, coming onto video, doing our player ratings, and you can give your player ratings in the comments down below. Without further ado, we'll see you guys in the next video.